Okay, class, so we have a worksheet today, and we're going to do just a quick review to try to help you out. Last lesson, we talked about circles, and so what we were looking at were some of the main concepts about circles, and then we also looked at this thing called circumference. Which is the distance around a circle. Okay. We also looked at the area of a circle and how to calculate the circumference and the area. So when you have a circle, okay, there's a couple main terms that you want to look at. So one is you have this thing here called the center. And let me see if I can point to this. It might be a little tough to see here, so called center. This is called the radius. So the radius goes from the center of the circle to the outside edge of the circle. Any point on the circle is the same distance. We usually call that r. And we also have this thing which it goes from one side to the other side, and that is called a diameter. Okay, so those are the basic facts that we need to know, or excuse me, terminology, vocabulary words we need to know about circles. So the question becomes, how do we calculate the circumference? Well, we have this formula called C for circumference is equal to pi times r, and it's actually 2 times pi times r. And some people will actually put it as diameter times pi, or pi times diameter. And part of the reason is just how pi is calculated. See, pi is approximately 3.14159, and it goes on from there. This is an irrational number. We can't write it as a fraction, but it's approximately equal to 22 over 7. But more often than not, we just approximate it to be 3.14. Okay? So often your calculations will use this. If you're able to use a calculator, it'll punch it in, and so you'll be able to go enough decimal places that you won't have to worry about rounding a whole lot. How this is calculated, again, we start at a point and we go around and we wrap the diameter, that's this right here, around the circle, and it ends up going exactly pi times around the circle. Okay, so, well, how do we calculate? So let's take a couple examples. So find the circumference of a circle with, and we'll do two of them. We'll do one with the radius of 7 and B diameter of 10. Now, we have to label something here. So in this case, I'll put inches here and I'll put centimeters here. So it's important that we remember that we do need to include our units. Okay. So if I want just the circumference, well, here I'm going to go up here back to my formula. Circumference is equal to 2 times pi times r is my radius, so it's 7, and it's 7 inches, so then that is just 14 pi inches. But sometimes we want to approximate that, and so I'm going to plug it into my calculator. So I will go 14 times, and I'm using one of these fancy calculators. So if you get the pi symbol just like this, hit enter, 43.9822, etc. It goes on. And so we put approximately equals to 43.98. Make sure you get your unit in there, and that is inches. Second one's going to be very similar. except now we're going to use the diameter times pi. And so we just get 10 pi, and that's centimeters, which is approximately equal to, well, we can do the same thing, but remember, it's multiplying by 10, so it should just shift it over. So 10, I don't actually have to put multiply. So I put pi in there, and it's 31.4159, et cetera, it goes on. We're going to round it to the nearest hundredth. So that actually, because that's a 5, that rounds up, and so we get centimeters. Okay, so the second thing we're looking at is what happens if we're looking for the, well, actually there's two other things we can look at. We can actually find the area, or what if I want to go the other way around? So let's go the other way around. So we'll do example, find the radius and diameter for a circle with, and we're going to go circumference equal to 12.6 yards. Okay, so now when you see something like this, we're pretty much going to approximate this, but so we can go off and go C is equal to, and I'm going to find my diameter first because then it's easy to find the radius, and vice versa. It doesn't really matter which one you do first. So this is equal to pi times diameter, and that's equal to 12.6. Okay, so what I get from this, I divide by pi on both sides, and I get diameter is equal to 12.6 over pi, and it's approximate, and we recognize that's going to be approximate. So I'll go back to my calculator here, and 12.6, and I'm going to divide by pi, and so that's approximately 4. And it's 4 yards in this case. And so what does that mean about the radius? Well, the radius is going to be 2 yards. And that is it for that one. Okay, so now we're going to go on to one with area. So area of a circle is simply A equals pi r squared. And we use r because of the way that we derive the area. So we're just going to do find area of a circle for radius equals 7 inches. So I'm going to do the one same as above, and diameter equals 10 centimeters. So radius equals 7 inches. What I'm going to do is I get area equals pi times 7 inches squared. I should put inches in there, because what's going to happen is when you square 7 inches, you get inches times inches, which gets you inches squared. So area is not linear. For example, it's not a measurement. I can't take a ruler and measure the area. So it actually covers a space, kind of like a piece of paper. And so this is 49 pi inches squared. So here, shift this down just a little bit. So I go 49, and I've already calculated that. Do not square the pi. And then I'm going to put the pi in, and I get that this is approximately 153.9, and I'm going to round up because 938, so it's 94 inches squared. Okay, so the second one, I've got a diameter of 10 centimeters. But what that means, that implies that the radius has to be 5 centimeters, because I can't use the diameter to calculate the area. I could, but it's a lot more tedious to do so. So we want to make sure we're using the radius to calculate the diameter, or excuse me, to calculate the area. So now since it's 5 centimeters, it's pretty simple. Area is equal to pi times 5 centimeters. And so this time I decided to put the centimeters in there because I remembered. So that's 5 centimeters squared, which is 25 pi centimeters squared, which we're going to approximate. Clear, so we get 25 pi, and that's approximately. So if you multiply that by 3, that gets you 75, which you know this should be a little bit more than 75. So you want to make sure you make that estimate. And 0.54, and that's centimeters squared. All right, so that should get you going, and you should be able to do pretty well on your homework. Just remember, if you are starting with the area, like on number 23 and 24, you have to go backwards. And so if it's exact, it makes it a little bit easier because then you just have to take this number, take the square root, which brings you back to your radius. And then 23 and 24, you have to find the circumference. So you go back and do what you had to do up here. Okay? Excuse me, right up here with find the circumference. Thank you very much and have a great day, guys.